Hello there, and welcome to the next episode of Unisharks Podcast. I'm joined by my hosts, Lemon and Hammerhead, and we also have a special guest, Beluga.
Would you like to introduce who Beluga is in association?
Yeah, she's Hammerhead's sister. She's older than us, has a family, a lot more wise than we are as to the ways of the world.
For a second, I thought you said a lot more wives, and I was like, yes, I have many wives.
Oh, goodness.
They're all loyal to me. No.
My harem.
Yeah, I think Beluga is our first female guest on this podcast.
Oh,
Yes.
I feel so honored.
Yeah.
Well, I've known you guys for quite some time. Kind of all my brothers in a way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, shucks. Oh, God. Okay. Well, we'll get started with Meme of the Week. So we had a lot of really good ones. My own personal favorite was a Harry Potter one. This guy's like, all the wizards and witches defending Hogwarts, and, he's waving around a fake wand, and he says, the American foreign exchange student with an M2 Browning machine gun, feeling like he finally belongs. Making all these machine gun motions. Just, yeah! So I gotta get a laugh out of that. Always said, Harry Potter needs more guns. That would have solved a lot of problems.
Well, I was reading the comments of that video that I guess there was some controversy, at least in the story-wise. I haven't read the books, about Muggles getting too strong in their outside of the wizarding world, because I guess defense, like shielding type magic, wasn't as common, and so it would be hard to even stop bullets at that time.
Yeah. Well, most of the wizards, I guess, didn't even know what a gun was because they had to mention it in an article.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, he's said to be carrying a gun, some kind of metal wand thing Muggles use to kill each other.
I totally forgot that.
I like the comment in the video where it says, "There's ain't no secrets in this chamber."
Only cold rolled Pennsylvania steel.
Sometimes the comments are the best on those.
Oh, definitely.
It is, yeah. It made me kind of sad when Instagram took away the option to send comments to people, because sometimes I find the comment more funny than the actual video, so I just send the comment to people. But
Right.
they got rid of that feature.
It's probably because, there's always haters and people who ruin other people's parades, so they just make it a choice, I guess, now.
Yeah.
And them trolls.
Yeah.
I always get bummed out when a YouTube video suddenly closes all the comments. I'm like, some of those were really good.
Yeah.
So, well, there was another one, too, that we liked. It was a Star Wars one from when Anakin kills Count Dooku. And someone swapped him out for the Michael Myers Cat in the Hat. And he's like, I'm a Jedi, I shouldn't do it. And someone commented, this is completely inaccurate. Michael Myers Cat in the Hat would be completely willing to kill a human being. He would not hesitate. That's actually true. I think he threatens small children in the movie, if I remember.
Oh my goodness.
Right. He's like, I'm not joking. I'll murder you.
The trailer scarred me, so I never watched it.
Yeah, we never seen it.
Yeah, we didn't grow up with that one. We did watch The Grinch, though. That was a classic.
Yeah, The Grinch actually grew on me over time, just because I feel like I like Jim Carrey a lot more now. Now that I know what kind of comedian he is.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that actually wasn't a bad idea. I just don't like the Who's makeup.
Yeah.
Those stupid little noses.
Make him look cute, right?
Yeah, like in the animated one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to the topics, I wanted to give the floor to our guest Beluga and her topic. Would you like to introduce it?
Starting off with that one. Okay.
Okay. We're gonna make it heavy. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, my question was, since I grew up around gamers. I did a little bit of gaming myself, classic NES and GameCube. Like, I would say I'm a Nintendo girl. And then the only like computer gaming back in the day growing up was usually, you would have a CD-ROM and put it in and play your game against the computer. Usually it wasn't always against other people. Like, those were usually people who I felt like had more money than us that would do that. And so, and then, my brothers all gamed, and then now I'm married to a gamer, and we only have daughters. And I don't mind them socializing with their father, him showing them his games. There's some online, like I do a phone game with my husband that we play together. And then I've made like one or two little friends, but I'd say it's more closed off. There's only like a chat place to chat with people on that game. And so as a female growing up, I remember them often warning us about the different online things that you need to be careful of. And so as a female, I've already mentally prepared myself for online things. And so I sometimes wonder if males who especially are into gaming and then become fathers, if they think that. And so my question is, as a male gamer, if you have a daughter who wants to play online games, what will you do to prepare her? And if you need me to like clarify or anything, or you can just answer it how you hear it, or I just am curious if like male gamers ever think about this and their thoughts and what they would do.
I think for me, it probably would occur to me if I did have any children. Because for the longest time, I avoided multiplayer games like the plague because, I grew up with a lot of conflict anxiety. So I was like, oh no, if I screw up, then I'm going to have people telling me to kill myself and all this stuff. And I don't know if I can handle that.
Oh.
Because, some multiplayer games can get like that. So, but I think, first of all, I would do what I did and just avoid online games until they're old enough.
What do you feel like is a good age then? Like when you say old enough, is that like, there's always the joke like, you can't get married until you're 35 or something that like parents always say after they have a child. But what do you feel like is a good age then?
Sorry, just real quick. My parents are like the opposite. They're like, when I was your age, I was married with children. I was like, good for you. You could afford it. That's a good question. I guess it would depend on the parent because for me, I want to say like 16, but of course, I know a lot of parents let their kids play online games and they're like 12 and stuff.
Right.
My issue with that is that then, you get all these games that are just flooded with these little snot-nosed brats. Sorry, parents, but some of your kids are awful on these games you let them play. And, they're like cussing and saying all these horrible stuff, all these horrible things. I'm like, I don't want my kid getting involved with that. I don't want him thinking it's okay to talk to other people like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I'd probably wait until he's a little closer to being an adult and has enough sense to know, like, no, it's not okay to talk to another person on that, online or offline.
Right.
So, and then Yeah, I guess even then, if he did want to play online games, I might. Oh, he or she. Sorry, of course, you said daughters. If she did want to play online games, I guess I'd also have to look at what kind of things they are. Like, if she just wants to play Pokemon with some friends, since that's all online now, like, I'd say, yeah, sure, go for it. If she wants to play Call of Duty, then I'd say, okay, you can play it on a console without a headset and with no voice chat, all right? Until you're older.
Okay. So you'd be more specific depending on the type of game.
Yeah, like case by case.
Okay.
So, and then as she gets older, I just let her kind of make that decision for herself. Like, for me, I didn't get into online gaming until I was, let's see, it was 2016. Yeah, about 6 years ago.
Oh, right before we became roommates.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually because Overwatch came out in 2016. And that's, yeah, Hammerhead knows about Overwatch. He sends me a lot of memes about it. So yeah, it was coming out, and I was like, "This game looks amazing," but it's like online multiplayer only. But it looks so amazing, so I finally got into it, and it was a really positive experience. Like every now and then, you do meet some psychopath. Like I was just telling Hammerhead a few weeks ago, I met some kids that kept throwing out the N-word and all these horrible racial slurs. So reported them all, and then got a notification saying, "Hey, those kids have been dealt with." So I was like, "Yes." Yeah, like if you think winning a match is fun, it's even better when they send you a message saying, "Because of your efforts, a toxic player has been handled." Like, oh, that feels good. But yeah, overall, it was a positive experience, and it opened me up to online games in general, and I ended up playing stuff like Battlefield and all these other amazing games that I wouldn't have tried otherwise. So, but I imagine if I'd started off with like Halo in 2012 with headsets on it, that would have gone the opposite way pretty fast. So like I said, just case by case per game.
Okay. Sorry, that was my daughter.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well, because different gaming communities bring out different types of people. Like, for example, you'll get different type of people playing like Fortnite versus like Pokemon and stuff like that. But yeah, my story with online gaming is the same. It's very similar with Mako's as well. I never really started playing online until like college. I was always kind of worried about just the toxic players online and deal with that. One online game I did play on my own that I didn't play with people I knew was Mortal Kombat, and that was different. Yeah, that was a little different though, because you didn't have like a chat option, or if there was, I didn't know about it. So like, I never actually hear people cuss me out, but you can usually tell they're very toxic by their actions. It's usually by their actions versus their words in that game. But for example, like people just playing like really dirty tactics, and then as soon as you start winning, they quit the game and stuff like that. But my advice, I guess, would be is similar to Mako, is like, don't let them play like online, like with random people until like they're 16 or so. That's what I recommend. If they do play online, I'd say like, don't play with voice chat at all, because that's where most of the issues come from. And also, if they start playing now, I'd recommend having them play with people they know at first, because even right now, I only play games with people I know, like Hammer and Mako and another buddy from Taiwan. But yeah, I only play with people I know, and I feel like that helps out a lot, because it's a lot less stressful and it's more of a community building thing for me. So that's my recommendation: like, have them start playing, rather let them start playing like when they're like 16 or so online, and have them start out playing with people they know.
What if your daughter feels like she doesn't have any friends that would be interested in playing games, and she wants to make some friends online?
That'd be tough.
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because I have a nephew who kind of has a similar experience to what you asked. Like, he's been diagnosed with high functioning autism, so it's a little hard for him to, socially interact with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister bought him a Nintendo Switch, so it would give him something to talk about, you know.
Right.
But with that, because yeah, stuff like Pokemon wouldn't work because you don't really meet new people on that.
Like, I guess, like with Pokemon Go, if you're taking your daughter over to the park to play, and then there's someone else there,
Yeah, and that's a good way to meet people. My sister and I made a few friends just playing Pokemon Go because they organize it on Facebook groups and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a pretty good way to go about it. Just if there's communities where you can kind of be involved yourself and make, kind of supervise it,
right?
that would be a good way to go about it.
So, like, being a part of your daughter's playing team and, going out and doing things together while you're gaming.
Yeah, like, thinking about it, that sounds like a pretty good way to go because besides being a good bonding experience for you and your daughter, like, yeah, you can kind of explain to her when someone's being toxic that, like we said, that behavior is not acceptable. Don't do this online or offline. And then, sometimes you do end up meeting friends. Like, aside from Pokemon Go, my sister and I made friends on Overwatch. I met other people that have done that. And I mean, heck, I was watching this video the other day. There's this pirate game called Sea of Thieves. During the pandemic, when everyone was in lockdown, this guy held his wedding on Sea of Thieves.
Oh, goodness.
They just invited all their friends on the server and had a party.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, that's fun.
And like in the same game, just the other day, I'm in my tiny little one-man ship, and I turn around and there's this massive, warship heading towards me. So I hightail it out of there, and this other guy like starts spamming, "I'm friendly, I'm friendly," and turns out he was chill. He actually sunk his own ship from my ship, like loaded my cannons and fired into his own ship, and then gave me a bunch of coconuts as a peace offering. So, and we chatted for a bit, and then he left, and I was like, crap, I think if I'd wanted to, we could have like friended him, and we could have started playing this together.
Yeah. I don't know. Trying to find people online makes me nervous because like all these different tactics that people use to like stalk people and like find stuff like that. I feel like if they were to find people online for friends, just warn them of the dangers. Like for sure, tell them to like never give out any personal information. Like don't give out their real name or address or anything like that because you never know what people are going to come after you at. But
oh yeah, of course.
But I feel like that'd be more. Yeah, it'd be more tricky. I think if if you're trying to find friends on Discord, I'd definitely be worried about that because there's definitely a lot of like scary people on Discord for sure. Like these Discord groups, you never know. Like, especially it makes me nervous being a girl. I can't imagine being a woman or being a girl in these online situations because I feel like that puts like a target on your back in some ways. But yeah, I say sit down with them and tell them to like don't share these things with certain people and like tell them that like sometimes people tell you things, but you never know what's actually the truth. Like you never know like who these people are. They can always like lie to get into your life. But yeah, if they're gonna find friends online, just I feel like make sure they know the risks of it as well. But it's also different if they're a kid. If they're a kid and they're talking to like other kids, it's different. I guess I'm more worried about like them interacting with adults in some way. But
Exactly, Lemon. I was kind of feeling those things because one, because my first thought is predators. It's sad that in this world there are bad people out there who are willing to take advantage of children, young, whether they're boys or girls, because even boys can be predator, be attacked. And I don't always think of toxic players, which is also really good what you guys brought up, because it creates bad relationships. And then even though that person may not necessarily be someone who's going to human traffic them, but they're going to just not be a good influence and put them down and can be very narcissistic and affect, which it's not fun. Like, you don't want to feel that way. And, a lot of people go on to game, have fun, and to interact and to be with other people. And so it's kind of, but it's important to see both aspects of toxic and predators.
Yeah.
All right. So I haven't sent anything.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was going to ask.
Hammerhead hasn't talked.
Yeah, me and my sister Beluga, we've already had this conversation. And so I want to hear you guys' thoughts first, which I'm glad I did. Because a lot of it correlated to what I said as well. But I forgot that I have more online experience than you two. I started playing online games when I was in like 5th grade.
More
And
evolved than us.
yes. You reminded me, Mako, of the weddings I've attended on RuneScape.
Wait, like legit weddings?
No,
Oh, darn it.
but maybe I don't know. I didn't know in real life.
That disappointment in your voice, Mako.
But
it's a funny idea.
no, it is funny. But people did that like on Minecraft and stuff as well. They had classes online on Minecraft for a while as well. But I say all this because, well, I would associate you guys as well, but you didn't do it as much as I just found out that we grew up through the phase of games at home and then evolving to games online, which gamers nowadays is mostly just strictly online, and they didn't have that experience.
Right,
And
'cause the system, you can do online on your systems now. It's not just like you only had computer and internet. People didn't have like their phones and their gaming systems and computers.
yeah, and it was very hard to have just voice chat. For example, there's very limited amount of programs to do so. And those ones were limited to, up to like 4 people, sometimes 16 people. And it's drastically changed now.
I mean, we're using a voice chat app to talk right now.
Exactly. And a lot of the advice you guys said were some of the same things I said of, no headsets. But I also included, if people have talked to you and they've asked you stuff, I want you to tell me what they say. Because I've been through it. I know what they're trying to get at. I could tell sometimes if they're lying or if they're just being honest. But I've also, this is kind of a joke, but sometimes I think it might be real. I've learned my distrust of people online the hard way. I've not physically, I haven't been physically harmed or anything like that. But, I've been scammed. I've lost stuff, almost lost my account, and so I've become wary of people online that always in the back of my head, I'll be friendly, but I never say too much information because I've lost stuff in the past. And so I jokingly said, make them get scammed, and then they'll learn to first be friends with these people before you trust them with stuff. And then that correlates to their personal information as well.
Yeah.
Because if you don't trust people with an armor set, you're never going to trust them with a picture of you.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And it's interesting, in our family, one of our siblings actually met their spouse on an online game, and it's worked out for them. But
Wow.
I also know some people that have met online. Their husband's from Sweden, they're from California, and now she lives in Sweden, and they're happily married, and And so there are some really good interactions, but it's sad to say, depending on the area that you're in, it's kind of far between of bad interactions.
And I think a lot of those people, like, I know who Hammerhead's talking about, and the sibling wise. Oh, sorry, one sec.
We have kids interrupting,
Oh,
but
that's fine.
so we'll just talk meanwhile until she gets back.
Sorry, my.
Oh, never mind.
Anyway, so when that sibling of ours knew that, you know, their spouse, well, their now spouse, for several years. It wasn't just like, hey, let's get together and let's date. It took some time, and I remember like talking with him and asking about this person, and double checking, because I think it's really important to listen to family when it comes to being online with other people. And so like when my spouse is communicating with other people online, I'll usually be like, "Oh, were you talking to so and so?" Like their name that they have on it, and he'd be like, "Yeah," and I'll be like, "What'd you guys talk about?" One, to kind of just, to have a nice conversation with my husband, and then two, to also kind of be like, "Who are you talking to?" But it's still, I think that really helps, because it's when you lose connection with the person, if they keep going online, you can see their demeanor change. I think there were times I saw Lemonhead, or not Lemon, sorry, I'm talking about my other brother, Hammerhead. Sorry, Lemon.
Yeah, good.
Like, I felt like when he was really young and he'd be playing online, and I would sometimes his demeanor changed, and I was like, I'd pick on him a little bit as an older sibling, but I also cared because I would be worried. As a older sibling and as a female, I'd be like, "You need to be careful," and he'd be like, "Yeah, yeah." But I'm glad nothing really bad did happen to Hammerhead.
that I've shared with you guys at least. But now going off what my sister was saying, about the time wise, like I've had very good friendships from online interactions, but luckily, like I mentioned before, I learned how to the hard way. Like I had friends that I played with from school, and so that's how I had that group. But then there's like clans or associations that you can be part of, and I searched out ones that I knew I felt like were trustworthy. I felt like they had a better demeanor, where they talked cleaner, or they were focused on group activities. And I became really good friends with them for years. I was part of this clan for almost a decade. Actually, no, yeah, almost, yeah, for at least 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And I've never met any of them online, but offline, I mean. Um, but I've had those really good friendships, even though I haven't played for a couple of years now on that game. But on the flip side, like you guys were talking about Call of Duty, I played Halo a lot, and you don't make friendships on on shooters. But yeah, for my advice, for specifically daughters, I don't I wouldn't want them to use off game chatting services such as Discord.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not on console. Because like on an Xbox or a PlayStation, you have voice chats, but you can't really send pictures through voice chat. Only sources. I don't know, Mako, can you send pictures on Xbox?
You can send screenshots. through the message app, but that's it.
Yeah, and so I feel that would be safer and it's a lot easier to monitor. And I guess if they do upgrade, they would already have that kind of mindset. I don't share that type of information.
And I think it probably would be good to maybe like be in charge of having the passwords or something. So if your kid wants to play a game, then you're the one that logs in and helps them create the information. But if they want to play, they have to get on through you. I guess, your kid might end up turning into a hacker, which can be used in other ways, but I think it would really help. Then you're having that control, but because I think it's important, reflecting back on being a teenager, would I feel like my parents were being overprotective, or did we create that trust? So I think the first step would be definitely creating trust with your daughter. So then she is comfortable and she doesn't feel like she will go behind your back or anything, or that she'll eventually come clean, So that if she does get into a dangerous situation with a toxic friend, that maybe they might actually be like, well, actually, this has been happening, which, of course, you want to try to prevent things as much as possible, but you also don't want your child to feel like you don't trust them, because that can ruin your relationship even. So, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I appreciate your guys' answers. Like, that makes me really happy, because there have been times when I've run into with my husband and he'll be doing things as an adult and I'll be like, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, I'm not giving away like a lot of information. I'm just talking to this knucklehead kid and they're just asking me some basic questions. And so I felt really concerned, because I reached out to his sister, who's a big gamer, and I expressed my concerns about these. And then as we've talked more, he joined me in that conversation with Hammerhead, and he got to hear his point of view, which was really nice, because who wants to listen to your spouse or your family when they're telling you to do something and you're like, no, I don't want to do it, and you just got to be like a little rebel inside or something. So it's nice when friends or outside of the family can influence you.
I'm glad we could help. Well, and I did have one last thought towards that question about like, what if your daughter wants to play games to make friends and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. I think there are some that are kind of rooted around that. I heard of one called Roblox that I think is more geared towards kids.
Yeah.
There's that, and then my sister has made friends on Animal Crossing with people from around the world. She would just visit their islands and they'd chat a little bit, and then they'd join a Discord. Well, of course, we talked about how they shouldn't be on Discord, but
well, she's older too.
Yeah. Like there are games that are kind of set up, especially I imagine now, since the pandemic era, where kids can try to make friends in an environment, like in a game environment, that's not conducive to toxic behavior.
So, well, it's exciting, because I want our girls to, play with their dad and have some sort of commonality. But I also want them to be prepared for the dangers, because sadly, there are toxic and bad people out there that do target younger children and girls specifically versus males.
Yeah.
So thank you for everyone for answering my question. It was some really good insight, and I'm proud of you for being prepared, all of you boys.
You got the
my little brothers.
Hey, welcome. Glad to help out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you had.
Yeah, thanks. So speaking of prepared, I wanted to move on to the next topic, unless anyone has any last stuff they wanted to add.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So my question for Beluga is, being that you're a parent and we're not, what is some advice you'd have for like younger or newer parents, people that are expecting or that just had their first child?
Oh, well, there's that can be a loaded question. There's a lot of advice. I guess it also depends if you're talking about specifically just only brand new type of stuff, which this can be applied to all ages of children, but I haven't experienced any older kids of my own past the age of I don't have any children past the age of elementary or above yet. So mine are still pretty young, and I recently just had one last year. So something I think, especially if you have a religious background, or even if you don't have a religious background, one thing that's really important is to keep your relationship strong with your spouse. So a lot of people think, oh, we have these children now, we got to revolve around them, we got to take care of them. They're our main focus, which is really important. But if you want to teach your children to be good people, no matter what, then you need to be a good person with your spouse. And that can be really hard because usually by this point in your marriage, you've been together for a couple years, feel like you really know each other, maybe finish each other's sentences or something. But when you throw in a child or even a pet or something in life, it can really change sometimes your viewpoint on things, because now you have a little person who can't survive without you. But that doesn't mean you can't refocus on each other. So going on a date, every couple of weeks, I'd say definitely at least once a month, you need to go on a date. The baby will be okay. Have someone you trust or a family member that you trust. Watch the child. Even if they cry, they'll be okay. And making sure, ideally, if let's say you're pregnant and the kid's coming soon, make sure you establish your future jobs, because as the one who gave birth in the relationship, as a woman, there's a lot of mental stress that comes onto us. Our hormones go crazy, carrying another child. There can be a lot of challenges that we have because our job is now 24/7 as the main provider for that baby, especially if you're planning on breastfeeding versus bottle feed. And the husband, ideally, or the spouse, is being the main money maker or provider, that support with that child. And you're coming from different viewpoints to this child's life. And you're both key providers. But it's important to give each other that time off. So let's say the wife is like, I need a break every day where you take care of the child, then work that out, But there's nothing wrong with if the husband's like, I'm really exhausted coming home from work, I need an hour or two to unwind, or I needed some time to myself later on. That's totally fine. You need to respect each other's space, but you also need to realize hopefully you both decided to have this child together. and that you're willing to work together. Because I feel like if you don't have that communication figured out and establishing where people are going to help in the family dynamics, then it can cause a lot of issues in the future and a lot of stress and anxiety for either of the spouses. And it can be really scary because I've been in places which I never thought I would be after having a child. And my mental health, like postpartum depression, is definitely a real thing. And as a future husband or as a husband, if they don't realize those or pay attention and care about their wife's mental health, there might be a sad story at the end of it. And we don't want that, you know. You want to be a happy, fun family and enjoy this new little bundle of joy and be able to go, you know, these children are ideally, hopefully, the better versions of ourselves. And so we want to be that better version for each other and for our children. So that's kind of a long answer. I feel like there's not, you know, a narrowed down single answer, but yeah, I guess narrowing it down be definitely go on dates, be attentive to your spouse, make sure you have communication and you establish roles either before or when you have the child, and that will really help.
Yeah, I'm glad that you. That was a really good answer. So I know, like that you said, you know, make sure you have jobs established and make sure you remember that you're both human and you need, you know, you have your own needs and you need to meet those too. So I remember we watched this. It's gonna sound a little silly that my like experiences with parenting are mostly just pop culture references, but we watched this show called Bluey. It's like a kids show.
Oh yeah. I love that show.
Bluey is the best.
Oh,
I
so
love
amazing.
it too. I love it.
Yeah, like we don't even have any kids around. We just watch it. But you both might remember the one where the mom, Chili, she's like looking really stressed and she turns to her husband, Bandit, and says, "Okay, dinner's ready. I need 20 minutes where no one comes near me." And just locks herself in her room. And a big part of it is that, you know, her daughter Bluey's like, "What? Am I like, is it because of something I've done?" And, you know, the big moral of the episode is no, like, you know, no one here is the bad guy. It's just we're all human. And every now and then we just need to take some time to ourselves. So apparently, you know, most people got that message, but there were a few comments from people saying, "Oh, that's a terrible thing to do as a mother." And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not at all.
Was that a woman who said that comment or someone who's never had a child before?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I'd never seen him. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you know, you're fine, because I am on Chili's side. I'm like, I just need some breathing space.
Yeah, like, you know, I don't even have any kids, but like my nieces and nephews, there are times when I'm just like, okay, I just need to step out of the room for a bit. So, but yeah, I didn't see the actual comments themselves. I saw other people discussing them, like, why would anybody say this? And I'm like, people have said that. I couldn't comprehend it. But yeah, it's good to know that, you know, that is a normal thing. You know, you're not a bad guy for having those flaws, for being human.
Right. And well, we've recently been actually teaching my oldest daughter about bubbles. She loves
Wow.
bubbles, any kind of bubbles. So we felt like this would be a good reference to use in people who like their space. And we recently had a family gathering, and one of my other nieces, who's a little bit younger than my daughter, they don't get to see each other very often, and so she was so excited to see my daughter and followed her around like a little dog and was like touching her and, being around her all the time. And I could see my daughter starting to kind of be like, this is overwhelming. This is too much. And so luckily my sister was also seeing it, and she's like, hey, so and so, back off. Let her have some space. And we've had this opportunity to say sometimes people have bubbles, and we told my daughter this, like, was she in your bubble? Was she felt like she was being too much? And so we let her go, get some space for a little bit. And then she came back and she was ready to play again. And it's been nice because now I can be like, you're in my bubble, honey. I need some space. And she's kind of like grasping it better. So, even kids sometimes need that space. And so as humans, like you said, Mako, it's totally a normal thing.
I like that too, that you used something she likes and can understand to help her like process it. So good job.
Yeah.
That's grade A parenting.
Thanks. That's like one thing that I've done okay at.
Yeah. Till I get in there. Okay. Lemon, did you have any advice for new parents?
Well, I guess I don't have any kids of my own, so I can't really say too much on the subject. But I say be prepared to lose sleep is my biggest thing. It's because I almost adopted a dog or a puppy dog not too long ago. A couple weeks ago, my coworkers had this dog they really liked, and it was a really sweet dog. It was really chill, but they just had too many pets. They had like 3 dogs and 3 cats, and there's just too much for them to handle. So they're about to give the dog up to the shelter again. And I was like, well, I never imagined myself ever having a dog before. So, but I felt bad about this dog going to the shelter, and seemed like a nice dog. So I took the dog for a couple days, and I wasn't able to take it because a lot of different stuff. But the biggest thing is that I wear Graves right now. So during the day, the dog needed to be around someone. I'm also allergic to dogs too, so I wasn't able to be with him 24/7, and he kept the whole house awake for like 2 days straight.
Oh.
And I'm like, dang, this is what it's like to be a parent. Like not getting sleep, and it's like, yeah, it's rough, and I can definitely empathize with new parents in that regard in some way. Like I know, like I can't say too much because I'm again not a parent and never had my own kids, and I have been around my sister who has 4 children now, and I've seen her. I helped her out growing up, or not growing up, but when she had her kids, I helped her out, and I could kind of see the struggles. But I guess the biggest thing is for me would be like recognize that you're gonna lose sleep, and that just be prepared for it, I guess. But yeah, it's my take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, my little input is it's mostly for the women, but all the husbands can participate too. Is I haven't seen it too often nowadays, but I felt like it was a bad trend where expecting mothers weren't active at all because they didn't want to hurt the baby, which is understandable. But it's okay to exercise still, and there's also plenty of pregnant programs that you can stay active for a good 7 months while pregnant, and that also helps you post pregnancy as well, to heal up faster too. So
Yeah, definitely don't like jump into something new, but if you're already physically being active in a certain sport or activity, then yeah, I agree. It's definitely made a difference when I've was being physically active. Like I was in like a Zumba dancing class, and I haven't gone back, and I really think I need to because it even helps with your mental health after too.
that's everything for me.
All right. Good stuff. Well, if there's nothing else to add, we can move on to Hammerhead.
Okay. I just want to ask you guys really quick. We had 4 topics for today. We are about 10 minutes to an hour. I don't know if you want to kind of combine them or just do 3. So maybe lemons might be more ideal.
We can combine our 2 topics, I guess, and we can release this as in 2 different episodes, maybe. One time, maybe.
Oh, you want to split them?
Yeah, or we can still record it now and talk about it now. But
Oh.
maybe we said combine. I was thinking maybe we can combine the 2 topics into like one podcast episode and these 2 in another episode. But we could talk about that later too.
I like that idea. Let's do that. Okay. But host, would you like to explain that a little bit? I probably won't cut anything out from that conversation.
Oh, okay. Like just about your topic.
Oh, well, I'll explain my topic, but we're going to separate this in 2 parts.
Oh, okay.
Woohoo!
Right. So, woohoo.
This is our first time doing that.
All right. Well, since we have a guest and our time's running a little close, we're gonna split this episode into 2 parts.
So if you're more interested in the other conversations, check out the new episode. I'll just mark it as part 2 so people don't get confused.
Yeah.